call for Chief Minaduda to protect him on his way home. And the reason I say this is because when I got my vigil in August 18th, 1974, it was vigil. Werpy, he took me out into the bush, but he had two guys to take me with, because he gets scared out in the bush. Well, he never came back to do the one or two readings because he got lost. No one came. Well, here's another. There's one that a nice Indian picture there. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Well, I'm off track again here. So.
Okay. Well, we were gonna. I was gonna ask about the food that they used to have out at camp. I realized a lot of times it was you made your own meals in the campsites, and with what they provided and what was cooked in the dining hall, what was some of the food like out there at that time? Was it fairly simple, or?
It was. We tried to have them. We try to either do a breakfast in the campsite or lunch, have the main meal in the evening in the campsite, so they had one meal. But a lot of these guys had to get their cooking merit badge and some of this stuff, so we had regular kits, the old patrol kits made up, and then we would. Oh God! Here's Mr. Scouter in Winnipeg, Jim McTavish. He was Baden-Powell look-alike, and he even went to Brown Sea Island. I used to go up to Winnipeg and do the Indian programs for their scout shows. That was a class. He was a Scotsman. Boy, was he a knowledgeable guy. Jim McTavish.
Was like the meal times that they had in the dining hall? Were they?
I always remember bug
they have
juice.
a program?
Like, huh?
Did they have like a program that they did sometimes? Either during or before or right after meals or anything?
Program?
Well, like now, like singing for your meal and things like that.
Yeah, I think we had some cheer fests and stuff like that, and it was basic stuff. 10 pounds of bulgur filler and 1 pound of hamburger, and throw some barbecue sauce in it, and give them some chips and. Boy, is he young looking there. That's Father Wild that goes way back. That's when I got the National Honor Medal. That was over there in my old uniform. The National Boy Scouts of America gave me the honor medal for saving a boy's life in 1959. And he was instrumental. He wrote me up for that medal and sent all the information to the National Council for them to go over to their committee to see if and I was awarded that in 1959. Going back to the food there. Those are the pictures of my patch blankets. When we get done, you should take the camera and scan my den here. That's one blanket behind you in the Camp Wilderness Board, my Indian war shirt and leggings and all that stuff. We get done scan the room because all this is filled with memorabilia here.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
What about campfire programs? That's always been kind of a tradition out there, I guess, is the campfires on Sunday night and Friday night?
Yeah, it was the opening campfire when you all went in the first night to welcome everybody and that, and then they had one at the end of the week, but then got this port up in here that kind of bothers me with my chemo right now. But then we was always up to our own to do our own in our own campsites, so we pretty much did our own program and did our own singing and everything else. And then different staffers would come. They would always kind of migrate to the ones that told the best stories. Not saying I always told the best stories, but we always had staffers there, and they would always come. Well, you going to tell stories and legends tonight? I said, yeah, we'll tell some stories and legends. And Tom Pettinger, he's retired now, but he was my assistant scoutmaster, and we were sitting around the campfire, telling stories, and I told this story. It's kind of an old one I've told. And the basis of the story is that there's an Indian, a Sioux Indian chief named Big Red. The Iroquois, the Ojibwa, they capture him, they cut off his head, and they bury his head in the woods, and he can't find peace until he finds his head. So he walks the woods at night with a hatchet. That's what all the staffers got scared about. And that was just a quick short story. So I elaborated on that. So I told this story to this one group of scouts I had, and those albums are out in Buffalo. I got a chest out there with albums of stuff from the early troops. Anyway, I told the story about Big Red roaming the woods at night in his head. So get done, and all these little kids go to bed, and they're in their tents, and I'm in the Scoutmaster tent. And just about to get to sleep, and about half an hour, all of a sudden the tent flap flies up, and here's all these kids out there. There's 25, 30 kids out there. Mr. Carlson, yes? If Big Red comes to our tent tonight, what do we do? I said, no problem. All you do is make the sign of the cross, and he will go away. Okay. So I get just about get ready to bed. I'm just about half asleep. All of a sudden, half an hour later, the tent flap flies up, and here's all 25, 30 kids back outside. Mr. Carlson, if he doesn't have a head, how can he see us make the sign of the cross? I said, get to bed.
At some point, it would be great to hear your version of the story.
Oh yeah, to hear the whole story.
We haven't heard the story out there for a long time.
The battle and the capture and the fighting and that's cool.
Do you remember any other any skits or songs or anything that?
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. I remember that song because it kept going on and on and on. That comes to my mind right away. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, and that's my name too.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And we provided our own entertainment, pretty much. We had the opening campfire with the main group, and then the ending campfire with the main group. But otherwise, we would invite other troops to come into our site. We'd invite staff to come into our site. Foreign scouts, they would always come into our site.
Okay. Another area of camp, the chapel. Did they generally hold a chapel service at some point during the week, like they do now?
Yeah, there was every morning, I believe. Jack Conway, he was studying for the priesthood at that time, and he had been on staff for years. In fact, they gave Chad a copy of the 1958 staff that he was on, a mimeograph copy. And he would always have some kind of a prayer up there in the morning, early in the morning, and that. And then it's pretty much when you go down the main steps to the family beach, you go off to the right, and up in the ridge there, that was the chapel was there, and the cross. I remember they had the logs to sit on. And I remember they had the cross was everything was lashed in pioneering, and they had a nice area up there. It was very peaceful up there.
Is that the one that was just off the path going down to the swimming beach, or because there was another one over, I believe it was below Fox campsite. I think
this would be the one going down, where you go down to the swimming beach, and over here was the main campfire area and all that, and then it was over here to the left on it is where that chapel was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know.
But they would get seminarians to come there to see, and then the Catholic Scout Committee, Lutheran Scout Committee, they would solicit funds to pay for that staffer to be there. Seminarians, whether it's Lutheran or Catholic, I mean, they were mostly there.
Okay. Did they usually invite like now they have the chaplain program out there where the kids can take part in the chapel service and that also. Did they do anything like that then?
No, I don't think so. I think very simple services. basically if you had a kid that was homesick or having some problems, and then we'd have the chaplain also talk with him, and walk with him and stuff of that nature. But I don't remember. Now there was not. You have to keep one thing in mind, is that in those days, wilderness camps and Camp Wildernesses in the 50s and the 60s, it was much smaller scale, and they didn't have all these programs that they have today, that they started in the 70s and the 80s and all that. It was still pretty low key on it. We didn't have the resources, or we didn't have the monies, or a lot of that thing at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Did they have the water carnival at that time too, during the week?
Yeah, we did. I think that was part of the mile swim. I remember we would take our troop, all the kids would go on our mile swim down there, and go off to the left down to where that old boathouse comes down about a mile out, and then come back. And then they would have the water carnival and all that stuff with, I can't remember all the activities there, but I remember the round tags that you'd get a number on. You have to put it in the board and take it off the board. And,
buddy tags.
and if you didn't take it off the board, then you couldn't go swimming. And,
What did do you remember while you were there? Was there ever any bad weather that they had, and what was their emergency or procedures if there was bad weather? You remember that at all?
well, I guess we lucked out because we never had bad weather, and we didn't have a program for it, to my knowledge.
Oh, okay.
There was no program that I know of. I think if bad weather came, they would sound the bell, the dining hall bell would sound to indicate bad weather was coming in to find shelter.
Okay. As far as any of the buildings that you remember being there at during the time you were out there, like the Black Building, did they use that for anything? What did they use it in particular for then?
Well, in 73, NC3, 1973, took wood badge there, and that was used for some of our campouts, or wood badge would stay in that building.
Okay.
In the course seminar, Dick Witz, he's gone now, he ran all of those. And, we used the Black Building in there. And I remember different adult training sessions where we went there.
Okay. Was there? Okay, there was a building that was up, I think, at Nootka campsite near there. I believe they must have called it Cabin Inn or something at that time.
Oh yeah, you walked out the door, just kind of down a little bit into the brush there. Yeah, is it still there?
Yeah. It's gone now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it was used for storage. I can't remember now. I remember the building being down there. Yeah.
Let's see, the other one would have been Ojibwe, I think, right above Ojibwe campsite. But it seems like there was, at one time there was like a cabin, then it was a shelter, and now it's cabin again. So it's kind of funny how some of that changes.
Depends on what group of volunteers come in that think that this is the action should be taken with this group.
Yeah.
And then they use some of that. That's one of the plaques I got when we got the honor medal. I think there's only maybe about four in North Dakota that have that over the history of scouting. It'd be interesting to find out how many got that around. Yeah. What are we talking about now?
Well, we were talking about some of the buildings and stuff. What they may have been used for. You remember, like Cabin A?
I remember we had the burners for the toilets down where the staff cabins were, and down at the end they had the open showers down there. They had, and then they got rid of those burners.
Oh yeah.
Norm Georgian, he's gone now too, but I was Scoutmaster of Troop 203, and he made this leather neckerchief for me in July 12th to 72, and then I carved out a diamond willow neckerchief slide. I guess I hear they're not wearing neckerchiefs anymore, huh?
Not much.
Not
A
much.
few of the troops still do.
Oh, huh. Yeah. Minneduda.
What were there any showers out there at that
Yeah,
time?
that down there, the staff cabins are on both sides. And it was the same cabins we used for winter camp.
Mhm.
And then at the end down there was one building, was with toilets. And then outside they had showers. It was in open air, and then they had a fence around it, and then you would go into you take your showers down there.
Okay, yeah, I remember that too. I know now it's all block. It's all surrounded in a block building with the various shower stalls in it. But
I got a good shower story, but I'll wait till Chad comes back.
no,
Tell you this.
okay. Do you remember the Thorpe Tower? I believe it was a fire observation tower or something.
Vaguely, there was some tower out on the edge of the camp property.
That might have been it.
There was some old railroad bed where they had taken the track and the train and the rails off, but they called the railroad beds over on the edge of camp too. That came into camp. It must have been logging trains years ago, back in the 20s and the 30s, I suppose.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if there's a picture in the dining hall of a fire tower, and I'm thinking that might be what it is. Is that Thorpe Tower? But Chad would probably remember what the picture was.
Hey, Bob.
No?
Hey, you get the low chair there. Hey, guy.
Hello, buddy.
You
Yeah.
get the low chair over there.
You want to live around and around the corners.
Oh, yeah. I was going through some of this stuff. There's so much dust on it and everything else that, looking at all these old
Well, I
memorabilia
got quite a
stuff.
few of those yet.
Yeah. I usually give them out to guys that get their Eagle Scouts.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
neat.
then I turn around and I'll give them I'll send them a congratulation card and then give them one of those.
That's neat.
See,
How many of those
the
I got
picture
left?
of
I got.
the fire tower
I
that's
got-
in the dining hall,
Mm-hmm.
is that the Thorpe Tower?
Oh, you got more than I got.
No? Okay.
It's the tower
Yeah.
that the first
got
tower
that
that we
one.
thought we were gonna
Oh,
get,
I don't know.
the one
There's
up
all
at
that stuff.
Midgey,
I was just looking
and
through
then we
some
ended
of
up
that
getting a
stuff.
different one.
Okay.
I got.
All right.
Oh, what do we? I was telling you about my shoe. We're talking about the shower stalls.
Oh yeah, the shower
Yeah.
story.
You sit down real low when you get into that leather chair, but it's comfortable. Go for it.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom first.
Okay, upstairs. You'll find it.
After I thought you must have one down here.
You'll find it.
I know I'll find it.
I was a scoutmaster, and Don Clemens, him and his kid brother Brad, I got them I was in the Big Brother program. They had lost their dad, and Donnie was 12, and his brother was about 8. So I had them till they went up, and Don got his Eagle Scout, and he was the lodge chief at Minneduda, also in our span of time. And that's what I used for the Big Brother program. I took him in scouting. But he was on camp staff one summer with this other kid from the name of Fritz Zerbel from Detroit Lakes. Zerbel, he's still around Detroit Lakes. He was kind of a unique kid. Well, let's put it just crazy. So anyway, at that time, that summer camp, they had a gal. It was the Wrangler. She was in charge of the horses. And so supper time, the Wrangler was never supposed to go over to where the staff buildings were because she was a girl and she had her separate area. But she had to talk to Fritz Zerbel about something, so it was 5 o'clock, so she walks over. She walks around the side of the camp staff building that Fritz was in. He walks out and he's going to go down to the end down there where the showers were, and he's stark naked. Zerbel looks at her, he's stark naked, she looks at him, and he screams and he goes like this. Ah! And covers his chest and runs down to take a shower, and she turns around and walks back and goes right back there. Fred's Zerbal.
I remember Fritzy.
Yeah, God, crazy guy.
Who was she?
Huh?
Who was that?
Oh, he's from Detroit.
No.
Yeah.
Who was the
The
who
gal,
was the
I don't know
wrangler?
who the gal wrangler was. I have no idea.
Had been Debbie. What year?
Oh, golly.
70.
It'd be middle, 72, 71, 72, 73.
Debbie.
Debbie?
From Lemoore. Debbie Shockman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know it would have been Debbie Shockman.
Oh, okay. Question. Yeah, we got
Okay.
sidetracked again here.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Do you remember any stories about any of the wildlife out there? You know, anything happen any times while you were out there where like bears or raccoons or anything got into things? And
I learned my lesson. I had a Scout red wool jacket, and I put a Snickers candy bar in this pocket, and I put the button down, and I laid it down in my tent. And when I came back, a chipmunk or squirrel had ate through the pocket and ate through the candy bar, and that was my jacket on that. And then I remember it was probably in 1956 or 57. He's a doctor now. Bill Blake was his name, and he's retired. He's down by Detroit Lakes, and we were all 8th graders or 9th graders or something, and we were walking back from the noon meal at the dining hall, and we saw a rat, and that thing was about that big. And back in those days, you could carry sheath knives. That was the big thing. You had a sheath knife here. And of course, the sheath knife was one of them $1 ones with the plastic handle and about like this. So he takes his knife out like this, and he throws it about a good 10 yards and gets that rat right in the neck. He was the hero. And my other critter story was in 73 at Woodbadge, NC3, 1973, and I was in the Owl Patrol. And we had brushed our campsite out, and we had made everything, and so now it's dark at night, and we're all sitting at a table that we had made. And there's 4 guys on this side, and there's 4 guys on this side, and I'm on this end right here. And we're all got our hands on the table, and we're making up neckerchiefs or ropes or the